Gusztáv, Kovács.
Ladies and gentlemen, as mentioned, I'm a theologian from Hungary, and I consider networking as one of the central part of my job. So I would like to share some of my experiences about what networking meant for me, what it meant for my institution, the Theological College of Pécs, what it meant for my students, my colleagues, and our social environment. It's going to be a rather personal account. So in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to talk about three things I think networking is about. It's about reaching beyond borders, seizing the moment, and digging up talents. Accordingly, I will tell you three symbolic stories from my own experience of networking. First, about a burst green balloon. Second, about an accidental encounter in Vienna. And third, about a 140 centimeter tall Roma girl from Hungary. So let me start with the burst green balloon and about reaching beyond borders. I was born and raised in CTEWC, which is a small town near the Austrian border, and it used to be a bilingual city before the Second World War. Everyone could speak Hungarian and German both. But after the war, people stopped speaking the latter because they were afraid of being tagged as German war criminals, and they were afraid of being deported. So I grew up in a family with Austrian and Hungarian origins both, but only Hungarian was spoken there. There were actually two exceptions: prayers and swear words were pronounced in German. So we lived just 2 kilometers away from the Austrian border, but we could never cross it as a family, since the authorities were afraid that we would immigrate to the free world. So what my family thought was that I would grow up in the happiest barack of the Soviet bloc, possibly crossing the border only once each 3 years to spend the $70 Hungarian citizens visiting a Western country could exchange by the grace of the Hungarian People's Republic. Bright future, isn't it? But this narrow vision changed on a cold February day in 1989. I was 9 years old back then, when my mom came home from her workplace with a burst green balloon in her hand. Now, I'm sure you are asking yourself why a mom would return home with a burst green balloon to his son. But it was a special balloon, because it had a small piece of paper tied to it saying, "I'm Luisa Weissenbeck, I live in St. Lorenzen am Wechsel, Austria, I'm 11 years old, and I would like to have a pen pal." So the message was in German, and my grandmother could understand it. So I took pen and paper and asked my grandmother to help me write a letter to this girl. We became pen pals for about a decade or so, and I spent my most beautiful summer holidays at this beautiful village in the Austrian Alps. So why did I tell you this story? Because it's symbolic not just for my own biography, but for the biographies of many Central Europeans who experienced the fall of communism and the opening of the borders between the eastern and the western parts of Europe. This green balloon flew 80 kilometers over the Iron Curtain, ignoring the borders, ignoring the barbed wires, and landed burst on a pile of wood and waited just for me to respond to the calling. So I considered this as my first experience with networking. Although it was only us two who were officially pen pals, it motivated almost every member of our families, from the youngest to the oldest, and prompted numerous encounters. People on both sides experienced that there was something new going on here, and everyone was willing to get involved. This is what I see as the prerequisite of all networking. A network needs brave and open people who are willing to invite others to cooperate, and who are ready to give a positive response to the calling. It was not just the balloon who crossed the border, but Louisa and me and our families who made this brave step over the border in our hearts. Since 1989, I had a lot of opportunities of networking beyond the borders of Hungary, but this marvelous story was always in my head when I had the chance to connect with other people. I'm not a very brave and confident person by character, but this unexpected event and what followed up helped me later to seize every moment when I had the chance to connect. This is the story which makes a difference when I get an invitation to join an academic organization or to come to a conference. Many of my colleagues back at home look at conference invitations and see only the titles of lectures. They often just read the topics and simply forget about it. Some of them simply stopped going to conferences saying, I already know what they are going to say there. This is sad because what they don't read enough carefully is that there are also coffee breaks and lunch breaks. But for me, these breaks are not just times of eating and drinking, but moments on finding burst green balloons with a message on them to connect. I remember a few great presentations from conferences, but I remember even more encounters with great people whose name was sometimes not even on the conference flyer. I remember some great concepts from presentations, but I remember even more great ideas from conversations during lunch or coffee breaks. So most people at conferences want simply to survive the breaks and sit safe and comfortable in their chairs in the lecture hall. Instead, we should rather walk around with an open mind and spirit to connect with others. These are the times for seizing the moment. I myself made two of my most important encounters on the way to the bathroom. Both times I stopped and made contacts lasting for years and making a great influence on my progress. So in 2009, I went to the retirement ceremony of Professor Zuliner in Vienna, when I met my dear good friend Slavomir Dlugoš from Vienna University. He grabbed my arms, pulled me into his office, and literally made me participate in the Association of Bioethicists in Central Europe. I don't think back then he had an exact and detailed plan. It seemed that he just wanted to get a bunch of moral theologians to Vienna and see what happens. But now I see that he had a vision of getting into conversation with Central European bioethicists, of moral theologians listening to each other, of motivating theologians to work, think, and dream together. Theologians who had been working in isolation before. This vision has yielded not just 10 international conferences so far, not just a great number of publications, academic projects, student exchanges, and summer schools, but also true and lasting friendships among members. And these friendships proved to be the glue of the whole organization. For me, these friendships are the proof that seizing the moment is a key element in networking. Friendships are not planned. They happen and evolve by seizing the moment. We go to a conference with a well-planned presentation, but we hardly go there with a strategic plan to make friends. We also don't make friends with a specific purpose. And any network, including our network here, needs to go beyond a specific purpose, needs to go beyond specific plans if it wants to last. This conference here gives us the chance not just to build up or to expand the network, but also to produce the glue which makes it lasting. And finally, after the green balloon and my unexpected encounter with Slavomir in Vienna, I would like to talk about how networks can have an impact beyond their official boundaries and help digging up talents. I want to tell you the story of a 21-year-old Roma girl from a village in southern Hungary. Juliet is the size of 140 centimeters, about 4'7". When she was born, no one thought that she would make it to study at a college. Coming from a village with almost 100% unemployment and extremely high criminal rates, her chances to study at a college were just about the same as playing at 4'7" for the Boston Celtics of the NBA. But she made it to our college, and this spring I took her to a summer school in Opole in Poland. For Juliet, this was the first time of being abroad and spending time in an English-speaking environment. The summer school was organized by my good friend Piotr Mocinec, who is great at motivating people. So what happened there came totally unexpected. This girl from this poor village turned out to be a great communicator in English. She was one of the most active in connecting with students from other countries and made presentations which left us both breathless and laughing. This 4'7" girl turned out to be a giant in communication. These 5 days of summer school enabled both her and all other participants to recognize a talent which was hidden by social barriers. And this is also what a good network can and supposed to do. It can reach beyond its official boundaries, help people to seize the moment, and dig up hidden talents. It can send a green balloon with a message. It can grab one's arms and can bring hidden potentials to light. So these three stories are uniquely Central European, being set in a Central European context and history. But they all have a relevance for our network here. Catholic Theological Ethics in the World Church is an organization and a network which has been sending green balloons with messages for more than a decade now. We have people here who seized the moment and gave a positive answer to the message carried by the balloons. And our activities have yielded numerous similar stories to that of Juliet, and in my view, these are the greatest achievements of our network. And now we are here in Sarajevo, and what we do with the network does not depend on some great plan, but it is rather on us what we do with this opportunity. We joined Jim's great vision of bringing people together here in the city with a history of connecting different religions and cultures. He sent his green balloon. Now it is upon us to seize the moment and to dig up the hidden potentials of the network. I'm convinced that everyone here can contribute to the network and is happy to do so. So use your coffee breaks, reach beyond your borders, seize the moment, and let those hidden potentials of our network come to light. Thank you for your attention.